Yeah, Nintendo did pretty well this quarter compared to last quarter. Let me just get to their net sales. Okay, so right here you could see, and I'll explain for everybody, just listen audio only. Um, Nintendo has made this quarter about, it says 358.1 billion yen, which converts to roughly 3.39 billion US dollars. And that's up 108.1% over last year. And they've attributed a lot of it to digital sales, their system sales doing well, a lot of software sales. Now we're in a unique kind of time right now because entertainment overall has been seeing an uptick because of you know, coronavirus. So you have a lot of people, you know, stuck at home. A lot of people are you know, need outlets, so they are buying, especially digital sales. So when I get to the digital sales, I'll show you that has kind of exploded for them. But yeah, they overall they've had a very good quarter, a very good start to their fiscal year, uh, and they attributed that to not only digital sales, but oddly enough, Animal Crossing this quarter has sold over 10 million units.
Damn.
So and it's crazy. So um, let me go down to the sales figures here. Well, I should have highlighted this. Okay, so it says for this quarter, sales of the entire Nintendo Switch family, that's hardware, rose 166.6% year over year to 5.68 million units. So that means Switch and Switch Lite overall this quarter they sold 5.68 million units, and they break it down 3.05 million units of the Switch and 2.62 million units of Switch Lite. And they said regarding Animal Crossing New Horizon, which was released last fiscal year, contributed greatly to overall growth in sales and posted sales of 10.63 million units this quarter for a cumulative sales total of 22.4 million units. So I believe that that puts Animal Crossing as the second best-selling game on the Switch right now, behind Mario Kart.
Damn.
They also said that Xenoblade Definitive Edition sold 1.32 million. Clubhouse games just came out. I'd already sold 1 million units. So yeah, they've seen a lot of sales this year. But funny enough, they didn't change their projection. They project overall that their overall fiscal year profits will not be as good as the last fiscal report I did. So they this quarter, even though it is extremely doing extremely well, they didn't change their projection. So I find that very interesting. And I think that they're expecting a disappointing holiday.
Hmm.
Uh, and that could be due to supply shortages because they do kind of contextualize that in this report, saying that, you know, right, due to the Rona, there's supply shortages for the Switch, so they have low production volume, which means they have low shipping volume, and there's going to be shortages. So I don't that's how they're painting it. But overall, I think then even with what you have in the market, if you had a lot of strong titles coming out for the holiday and you saw sales like this, like whatever Animal Crossing did, like a Breath of the Wild 2 or whatever, then I wouldn't think you'd be too worried about hardware shortages because you
Yeah.
still have strong software sales. So I find that kind of interesting. They
Yeah,
did
that's
not,
crazy.
they're still predicting a fiscal year that is under last year. They said Ring Fit Adventure did well. It also, because it has physical hardware that you need for the game, it's underselling because there's supply shortages. Their digital sales exploded. So right here, you can see last year for Q1, digital sales was 30.6 billion yen. For this quarter, it's 101 billion yen,
God damn.
which is about 960 million US dollars. That's up
Mm.
230% over last year. And again, I'll say again, people are craving entertainment. They want stuff to do. And actually, there was an uptick in even Switch Online subscriptions. So the digital sales have done well this quarter. They said there was a lot of sales of the Pokemon Shield. What is it called? Expansion Pass. Here it is. Add-on content. Uptick in indie sales overall. So yeah, Nintendo is doing pretty well. Their mobile sales are around the same.
Hmm.
They're up 32%, but like we said before, they're tapping out of the mobile market overall. So they didn't really say much about this. I don't think they really care at this
Yeah.
point. So that's pretty much it. And let me have
Yeah, what I found
the
interesting
other
was the
stats.
fact that Nintendo's doing so well right now, but they still don't think they're going to make a lot of profit during the holidays. That's very interesting. Well, at least
Yeah,
as much as last year, you know?
yeah. So if they're underperforming, that must mean there's a they know the hardware's lagging. They've already addressed that. So
Yeah.
what is it? But they haven't talked about the software. We haven't had a direct. They haven't said shit about what is coming out for the holidays, and I just find that very interesting. It's like either you're not going to have some strong titles ready for the holidays, or you're expecting low sales. I don't know what it is. And of course, I have this information, I'm lacking key information which people are waiting on. It's like, where's that direct that talks about Breath of the Wild and all these other things that you
Hmm.
promised? And it hasn't come yet.
Yeah.
You mean that
Um,
Mini didn't have all that shit, Chris?
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on this page, they have a nice little, sales counter for hardware and software total. So we care about the Switch overall hardware right now. 61.44 million units
God damn.
worldwide.
Yo, Chris, man, how many do you think Xbox One has sold in comparison, bro? Shit.
Man, I don't think Xbox One has broke 40 million
I don't think so either.
lifetime. Yeah.
God
So,
damn.
yeah, I mean, Switch has blown past it, you know? So, yeah, Nintendo do it pretty well.
Holy shit. Whoa,
So,
whoa, whoa. 3DS, look at those numbers. Jesus. 75 million, 75.87 million for 3DS.
yeah,
Fuck.
but the current sales now for 3DS has slowed down significantly.
Yeah. Look
And
at the
I
Wii
think
U.
by the end of the
Yeah.
Wii is pathetic, yeah, in comparison. Like, so, so pretty good numbers for Nintendo, but and then okay, so this is what they have a nice little chart for their top sellers.
Yeah.
So they say Mario Kart 8. I did not know this. 26.74 million units of
Damn.
Mario Kart 8 sold, and Animal Crossing now is taking second place above Smash Brothers at 22.4 million. Smash Brothers almost at 20 million, and Breath of the Wild at 18.6. Pokemon Sword and Shield right behind it.
Yeah.
So and then it drops off after that, but like you got Mario Odyssey, and so yeah, so overall it's pretty good, but I don't. I'm personally concerned about holiday, and then so when I do this talk again in December, yeah, when the next quarter ends, where are we? So yeah,
Yeah, we're in August
should
right
end.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we talk about Q2, and then we'll see. But I mean, if they don't say anything by October, if they're still not saying anything, I would be very concerned
All right, just keep an eye
about
on
what's
that.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now let's move on to Sony.
Sony, let's go.
All right. So the segment, I always look at when I do the financials. I'll end up summarizing you guys all of Sony's segments because Sony's a big corporation, not just PlayStation. But
Mhm.
since it's quarterly, you skip all this stuff. I'm only looking. You notice it's the first segment.
Of course, that's a big money
PlayStation.
maker. Yeah.
Yes, PlayStation is not only the big money maker. It is trouncing every other segment. So if you add up, and just real fast, I do this. If you add up Sony Music, Sony Pictures, and their other electronics outside of PlayStation, it's 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 just above just PlayStation by itself,
Wow.
right? That so that's huge, right? That's how much of a moneymaker PlayStation and all the network services involved with PlayStation is. Right now it's $606.1 billion yen in earnings. That's 5.74 billion US dollars this quarter. And just to put that in context, so that part of Sony, so with that much sales, and so with the all the fanboys screaming and stuff like, "Oh, Nintendo's doing so great," and Sony's like, Sony's old news. It's like, yes, PlayStation 4 sales are dropping, but consider this: that I just told you Nintendo's numbers at 3.39 billion for the entire company. That's their net sales for this quarter. For PlayStation, and net sales is 5.74 billion, and that's with the PlayStation 4 declining in sales.
Damn.
That's just to show that with PlayStation Plus, digital sales and their titles, they're selling pretty good. So PlayStation have a very good quarter, and it's actually better than last quarter. I mean last year, year over year, it's 150% improvement over Q1 in 2019.
Insane. And this is on a year the console's about to essentially go retire. You
Yes, we're
know.
at the end of the generation. Yeah, so
Wow.
that's very good, and Sony attributed this to strong PlayStation Plus subscriptions. They credited Last of Us 2, and they also credited Ghost of Tsushima.
Wow. The game just came
Which
out like a month
the-
ago. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah,
Mhm.
on the first slide with sales and operating revenue, they say they had a significant increase in game and network services. That's what PlayStation,
Yeah.
and their financial services. But they said they had a decrease in pictures, electronics, and imaging and music sales segments. Now that's not far-fetched. I mean, nobody's going to the movies. Most
Mhm.
of the Sony Pictures projects are on hold or furloughed because they can't film
Yeah.
anything. So much shit's on lockdown. So Sony Pictures, it's not doing badly, right? But it's oddly enough, the sales of their movies are doing very well, and an odd twist, because they've had everything furloughed and on halt, they're not spending any money on productions. So they've actually
Mhm.
done okay this quarter compared to last quarter. They're actually making about the same money.
Wow. That's crazy.
So that's pretty crazy, right? So
Companies
that
did it. WWE had the same thing because they didn't have to do all the touring, and so
right,
they
right.
saved
So
them.
they save money
Yeah.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah, so they actually recorded a profit during all this.
Yeah, so so they are oddly enough, so I talked about Nintendo's forecasting they're not going to make as much money in this fiscal year as last year. Sony, on the other hand, is a complete opposite. They are predicting a 522% increase in net sales come the end of their fiscal year
Shit.
in 2020. And of course, it's due to like they're projecting big things for PS5, big things coming out towards the end of the generation PS4, and a lot more subscriptions. So I'll go into their breakdown here. This is pretty much the last slide for just PlayStation. So they said 32% significant increase in sales, significant increase in game software sales, significant increase in sales for PlayStation Plus, but an impact from the decrease in PS4 hardware. But overall, they had made more money. And then for their forecast, they said they're predicting sales on roughly around 522.4 billion yen, which is about almost 5 billion USD, and then again attributed to significant increase in hardware sales due to PlayStation 5 launch and significant increase in game sales. So they're predicting a very good year. As a matter of fact, a better year than the last year.
Yeah, and Chris, real quick, do you think this also kind of ties into the report that we talked about a couple weeks ago, where apparently they're going to start producing more PlayStation 5 consoles than they originally were supposed to? You think that they're getting ready for those big sales or whatever?
Yeah, I do think so. There. So wait, say that again.
Okay,
Sorry.
so basically, okay, you know how we talked about how there's a report how PlayStation is gonna actually produce more PlayStation 5 consoles than we originally thought of, right? So do you
Right.
think like they're like, okay, since we're gonna be producing more consoles, we're gonna be making more money. So do you think their projections have anything to do with that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Their projection was based for, I don't think they changed it in this report, but their projection was based on having a PS5 shortage in the
Yeah.
first place. So they're while they're being a little conservative with it, they still think that their hardware sales will be tremendous. So much so that they think that they don't have enough product to put in the market when it
Mm.
launches. Still, even with them ramping it up, they still think they won't have enough product.
Wow.
So
See,
that
I hear him going back and forth. I hear him, they're not going to have enough product, and then I hear statements from the president saying they will have PlayStation 5s on every shelf in every store. You will not have to worry about shortages at all. Like,
Did they say
it
that, by the
seems,
way? Did they say that?
yeah, yeah, the president did, yes.
All right.
I'm just rapid. I'm so confused, and I told you before when they were talking about shortages, I was like, no, they won't. This is a marketing scheme. I can't help but feel like that's what it is. Like, oh, I mean, we're gonna have enough for everybody to get one, so you can get one, but there's not gonna be that many of them, so you should make sure to get one. Like, it's a mixed message that basically says you definitely need to go out and get a PlayStation, but we'll have one for you when you get there.
well, I mean, it's tough when you're on that end of the business when he has to tell consumers that type of stuff on the marketing level. You can't create a tickle me air mole scenario and be like, well, we're only going to have 5 at KB Toy Store, so you better be the first to get it, or some kind of crazy shit like that. He has to say that that there'll be enough for everybody and not to create a panic. Like, you don't want to create a rush on the product and have uh, people going in the store buying 20 and then flipping them on eBay or things like that. You don't want to create that kind of scenario. So you have to couch that message and say, oh no, you'll be able to get plenty. We're not going to have shortages and whatever. And then in the back end on in the production line, you're trying to make that happen. But he has to say that just to not create a panic, right? What would be the reality of that? I don't know. There'll probably be a little bit of an availability issue, especially since I just told you Nintendo already couched it and said they're having shortages and production problems. I don't see how Sony can have completely avoid that unless they've opened up secret plants somewhere that we don't know about. But
Do you think part of it might be that, like, I don't think that I'm a fortune teller or anything like that, but after this giant Corona thing, the demand for in-home entertainment has skyrocketed, and that we're still going to be in that phase when the PlayStation 5 launches. And honestly, even well after that, we may live in a world that's changed a little bit. You access a lot of it from your home, and it's our culture and our American culture is very much like that. There are other cultures that are a little bit more plugged in than us, but so I don't think it's unreasonable for them to say, hey, with all this Corona bullshit, I think we're going to sell more PlayStations because as soon as Corona hit, Switches ran out first, and then PlayStations not long after.
Yeah.
yeah,
Also, we're in a recession, so it's up in the air on that, depending on the market.
Well, Morgan just needed to replace his PlayStation because his old one finally died on him, and he couldn't find one. He had to finally order one from online because he drove around to 6 stores in the local area and everybody was sold out.
I think even in a recession mindset, people are prioritizing entertainment or ways to access it. Like, yeah, I mean, if you're just gonna watch video, you could opt to buy like a Roku or something. But I think for gamers, like, you're gonna make a decision on a system. You may only be able to get one, and you have to decide if it's a Series X, or if you don't have a Switch, if you're investing in it, or if you do, it's like, oh, maybe I get the PlayStation. So there will be those people prioritizing that decision just because, like what Brett said, the scenario we're in is not normal.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to see, but it's gonna be it's just interesting how Nintendo's kind of like we don't think we're gonna make as much money, and Sony's like we're gonna make more fucking money.
Oh yeah, they make
Do you,
all the
do,
money.
do you think it has to do with the fact that I mean, Sony is launching a system, and yes, there are a lot of people going to be the launch and the demand kind of coincide, so I can see them making more money. I wonder if Nintendo's projections are based on their ability to actually manufacture units, because they've been having trouble putting units on shelves, which means lower sales numbers no matter how you cut it. They're
I
not
think
selling as many because they can't get as many.
I think they think that with the new consoles coming out for Xbox and Microsoft, that people are just gonna opt to get one of those instead. I'm like, shit, I want to get one of these next gen ones.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really Nintendo could do about it, like unless you move your manufacturing somewhere else. Like everything is in China right now. They have a chaotic stuff going on, so I don't know like what Nintendo could do. They obviously don't have their production lines anywhere else, unless they maybe open some in Japan, but Japan has their own lockdown shit going on. Unless you move it to Mexico, I don't know. But they're all have the same pipelines. They all use Foxconn. They're all relying on them. And even like I'm seeing the same shit. Apple said, "Hey, the iPad and the iPhone 12 are delayed because of production shortages." They're all having the same problem because it's all coming from the same place, and we're all suffering from Rona. So, and
Most
so
of
they,
that's screens, isn't it? And I think that's important to note. I think most of the shortages come from the ability to manufacture the screens, because cell phones use them, tablets use them. I remember that was a production issue for like the Oculus or whatever. Like the screens and shit like that, super expensive and difficult to manufacture, especially with the shortage of materials. But the other components, if I'm correct, aren't necessarily as rare. So it's actually easier to manufacture a PlayStation than it is a Switch, because Nintendo even had to switch screens to get because they couldn't get the materials to keep making the original launch screens.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's tough for screens, but I with PlayStation they have a unique issue where they have to manufacture custom SSDs. And all that SSD material requires rare earths, which mostly come from China. So they're still very much relying on them and their production pipeline, which is short-handed right now because of Rona. So everybody's suffering from the same thing: battery manufacturing, screen, like you said, screen manufacturing, and also storage. Making those SSDs is going to be difficult.
Yeah, I think Nintendo's just accepted the fact that they're not able to make as many and they're not going to make as much. I don't think that's just a sole fact. I think that they've just kind of been like, yeah, what can we do? We can't change manufacturing. We just have to wait this out. We can only produce 50% of our original capacity. They're going to sell out. If we made more, they would sell out, but we can't make more. That's
Mhm.
just kind of the way that it is.
And also,
Also,
I would think if Nintendo was smart, like I would just keep the shortage message going and stockpile systems. Like, all right, so I'm actually saying this. They're probably doing artificial scarcity so that they can push more out product out during the holiday. So they kind of say, okay, we got 20 pallets from China, but we're only shipping out 12. I'm going to hold on to 8 and we're going to keep them here. And then every month you have this stockpile of pallets and it's like, okay, for the holiday we're going to increase the pipeline to ship because holiday we see increased hardware sales, right? So they may be doing that. And that's just a theory. I don't know that for sure. I would
it
say if
makes
I was
sense.
them, I would do that. I would say, hey, we're having shortages. You can see that, but I'm actually getting a good amount of product in, but I'm only shipping out so much because I know my best time to push hardware is around the holidays. Uh, and but that's but the Switch has been in production for over 3 years, so that it's a different story for PS5 and Series X because those fabs just got made this year, and so they're just making product from zero on and haven't shipped any yet, so they have to see how much product they get from China before they can start divvying up what's going where to what region and whatnot.
Yeah. All right.
Uh,
Let's get to Microsoft's financials. Oh wait,
oh
there
yeah,
might be a little
this.
problem with this one.
Oh my God. So it was putting together Sony's and Nintendo's was easy, and I like that. Actually, Nintendo's gotten better about they make their own graphs and stuff, so I can read the stuff easier, and I can put together numbers and make my calculations. This shit, you see this Excel sheet here, and for the people on Audio Boom, you can't see this, but I am looking at Excel, and I have the most convoluted fucking set of sheets I have ever seen in my life for Microsoft's quarterly financials. I cannot make heads or tails of this. There's all sorts of categories in here. And when I go to the segments are productivity and business products, intelligent cloud, and more personal computing. I do not know what any of that refers to. Like it, it's it's crazy. It's like where the hell is Xbox in there? Where the hell's anything in there? What
Wow.
is personal computing office? But what's productivity and business? I don't understand this. And this sheet is literally repeated on their website. If you go to the website and tab through their investor relations, you get the same shit. I just went, let me get the sheet so I get everything. And every sheet is like this. It is like a convoluted mishmash of stuff, and it's like it's just about the global company in general, and I don't care about that. I'm just trying to give you Xbox information and I can't get it. This is even worse than when I did their fiscal year report.
I here's one thing I find interesting about these Xbox or Microsoft reports when we're trying to find Xbox. It gets exponentially more difficult every time, and now we've got to a point where it's impossible. It's fucking insane.
Yeah,
You know.
i
By the
i
way,
don't know
for
why.
you guys, for you guys listening on whatever podcast app of your choice, we are literally looking at a spreadsheet right now. I'm not exaggerating. This is a spreadsheet. This is a fucking Google Docs spreadsheet. This is insane.
Yeah, so I mean they didn't even label this thing, at least if they said this is Office, Azure, and Windows. No, productivity and business processes. What the hell is that?
I don't even know, man. If you don't know, I don't know.
Yeah, so yeah, I wanted to give you. I went through all this today, and I'm like, I can't make heads or tails of this shit. So I have no Xbox numbers for you. Maybe if I if I write them a nice letter, maybe somebody will explain it
Yeah.
to me. But I don't fucking know.
Yeah, you know. So yeah, don't give Chris any shit. He tried. Microsoft failed him.